Hi guys, and thank you for coming back to another episode of the Looting Bag Podcast.
Today we're going to be talking about the early game, and more specifically about the early game, because it is such a large and vast topic for Ironman. We're going to be probably splitting it up into 2 episodes.
The first episode, we're going to be basically talking about what you're going to be doing as soon as you come off Tutorial Island.
So we think one of the first things that you should ask yourself when you're thinking about your Ironman, once you make it, is are you going to win or tot or not?
If so, are you going to train your farming skills or any of your skills at all, because the rewards are based on skilling level?
So one of the important things to consider, like Jamie is saying, is if you're wanting to get up some of your skilling levels at Winter Tot before you actually go. Because how it works is, depending on your mining level, you can only get certain ore. Like you're going to get the tin, copper, iron, and some gold if your iron or mining level is rather low. And then for things like farming, you are going to get certain seeds dependent on level. So unless you want to be stuck with mostly Terramin, Guams, and things such as that, you might need to consider leveling farming early as well.
Also, you need to consider your HP because you want it to stay as low as possible. Mine, I went with 19. So you kind of want to stay 19 or under so you take as little damage as possible because it goes by hit points.
So we actually just looked up before we did this, and the reason we came to 19 is Jamie had just recently started her Ultimate Ironman in January, and we had wanted to get her farming level up so that she could have, good seeds, because the difference is really significant. I'm talking about, when I did the calculations, I think on average, if you went with level 1 farming, you might end up with 15-ish Renar seeds by the end.
And I believe I ended up with 30 or 40.
Yeah, like 35 to 40. So leveling up your farming to really the 30s, but 30s to 50s will pretty much double your Renar seeds that you get.
Another thing you need to consider if you're going to Winter Tot is you do need a house. Well, you need a house anyway, and it's going to cost you 1K, so you got to figure out how you're going to get that 1K gold.
So one of the most common things that people do when they need money early game is they'll go to the Stronghold of Security. That's worth looking into for that cheap 1K moneymaker.
You could also thieve men if you're that desperate.
Well, there's lots of different ways to get money in the early game, and we'll probably talk about that in a later episode, but I think some quick ones to say are, I know a lot of people go and find steel plate bodies out in the wilderness. Of course, that's not going to be really what you're doing if you're an ultimate or if you're a hardcore, but if you're a regular iron, a lot of people will go out there, get those steel plate bodies, and alch them.
Some more in-depth information about Winter Tot. If you're going to Winter Tot, you have to figure out if you're going to do solos or go to the mass worlds. If you do solos, you'll get a whole lot more construction experience.
Yeah, I think it literally is like you will end up with 30-ish construction if you just do masses the whole way, and you'll end up, depending on how diligently you do the construction solos, you'll end up with probably 60 to 70.
I myself I would do like 1 or 2 solos, and then I would go do mass worlds because I kind of got bored with solos. So it's more entertaining because there's a lot more people to talk to.
Yeah, and I think it's all right to mix it up. And I don't know if you should be talking to those people at Winter Tot. They're not exactly the most prestigious of individuals.
I mean, it's still entertainment.
Yeah, that's true. I think when I did my ultimate, I did almost all solos, and I ended up with 63, maybe 65 construction. And back then, construction was so hard on an ultimate, the only way you could do it is building oak larders, and I think you got like 30 to 40k experience an hour. So it was pretty rough.
I think I ended up with, was it 55, or am I overestimating it?
Somewhere around there, because we wanted to make sure you could build certain things in your house.
Yes,
you could build a portal room.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I had the portal rooms. I do remember that.
So that is one of the reasons why Winter Tot is so great. It levels up. No one actually cares about the fire making experience. That's not the reason you're there. The reason you are there is because you're not really putting in that many resources, and you're leveling up fletching, construction, wood cutting, and fire making.
And the valuable supplies that you get, it's really the best way to go in the beginning.
Yeah, talking about early game moneymakers, part of the reason people go to Wintertot is because by the end of the line, when you get 99 fire making, you'll end up with about 400k.
And that's a ton in the beginning, you know, to get your runes and such that you need to start training other skills.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons, because people say you may as well knock out Wintertot to 99 because it is a fast 99, which is true. The cape itself doesn't really have that much purpose, especially if you get a Brumatorch. I just wouldn't even buy it.
The Brumatorch is amazing because it's inextinguishable. So that's a super important thing, because you know how fun it is when you go in a cave and your light source gets extinguished. I've had that happen before. Not on my ultimate, luckily.
Yeah, that would not be a good way to go.
It's definitely not.
Oh, wasn't that how you died on like your very first account?
I cried. I literally cried.
This was before death mechanics.
Yeah.
Where your stuff would immediately drop to the ground for everyone to pick up. And it was like you had to go kill something in the Lumbridge swamp cave.
Yes,
right?
I was in the Lumbridge cave, and it was something low level, but I didn't know anything about the game. I had, I don't know, some kind of, not a candle, but a torch. And I had it lit, and I thought it was going to stay lit, and it went out, and I died, and I was literally bawling.
She was really crying. She was so excited. She got everything back.
Yeah, I did.
You know, we're probably talking like 30k worth of
Yeah,
stuff.
it wasn't a lot of stuff, but
You know.
it was my first time dying, and it was traumatic for me.
Now, to more inclusively talk about the rewards, I think we should cover what exactly it is that you're after at Wintertot. So how about you tell them about like the mega rares?
Okay, one of the main things you're looking for that is rare is the fire tome, and that is very good in the early game because it gives you infinite fire runes, so you never have to go buy the fire runes.
Yeah, another item that people go after, like she said, was the Brumatorch. That is something people want. Pyromancer outfit, I think it's used in some elite and master clue steps, so that's a good one to have as well.
The Phoenix pet a lot of people go for because it's a cute pet and everybody wants pets.
Oh, and one of the other things too is when you want to go to Wintertot, if you're thinking about warm clothing, you can get the Clue Hunter outfit for free. You just have to walk around certain areas of RuneScape and dig them up with a spade.
Yeah, that's what I did. It was very easy to get and understand where the spots are.
Yeah. Some of the other rewards people will stay for include magic logs, because it is a way to get magic logs without having the wood cutting level to have the magic logs. So if you wanted to do desert treasure rather early on your account, then that might be a goal of yours.
Another super duper rare is the actual dragon axe, which people do go for, but there are other ways to get that later in the game.
Which, speaking of axes, it's important to note that you only need to bring a steel axe to Wintertot. It has effectively the same chop rate as any other axe past it. You have to remember that this is primarily a fire making minigame, so they're not expecting you to bring the best in slot for wood cutting.
Right.
Some of the other rewards, of course, we talked about Renar seeds. There's also a few Snapdragon seeds you can get from there. You also get noted herbs. Did you want to say something?
You also get Torstal seeds if you collect, is it the three Brumatorches?
I can't remember if it's
Or is it the three gloves?
One is magic seeds and the other one is Torstal seeds.
Yes.
Torstal seeds are not as important as they used to be, because as some people might know, their value has dropped significantly. They used to be 80k, and I think now they're like less than 10k.
Yeah, it's crazy how that changed. Was it the TOA?
Well, yeah, TOA just ruined its economy for sure. So don't sweat it too much about the Torstal seeds, because honestly, even as an ultimate, you're probably going to drop them early on because you don't have a use for them for a very long time. So any Iron Man, sure, Torstal seeds are nice, but they're not something you have to have. Other supplies that drop, there are ore, so it's a nice way to start off some smithing grinds, and of course that's relative to mining. There's some noted herbs that you can get. Now, I wouldn't necessarily recommend grinding out herb lore before going, because it only gives you like 2 to 4 per roll. you can still get some Renars even at level 1-ish herblore, I do believe.
You can also get some raw fish so that you can cook to have free food while you're there, because there is a fire outside, so they can also get your cooking level up a little. And also you can get uncut gems to help with your crafting level.
Another point is that for food, once you actually do winter taught, if you are listening to this and you plan to go, many people will go and collect a lot of cakes. And that is really the best in slot food there for low HP account builds, because you can use it 3 different times. And the reason why people like going to winter taught so early isn't just because cakes are easy to obtain, but also because the HP regen actually helps a lot more than it would if you were going there at like level 80 and taking 20s from winter taught's attacks.
Yes, and you only need level 5 thieving to get the cakes from already bakery stalls.
And for ultimates, another area to consider is that you can get cakes from Karend bakery stall too.
Oh yeah, forgot about that. That's a good one.
And another point, if you end up getting your cooking high enough, I think it's level 50, but you can take a chocolate bar and rub it on the cakes and it makes it into a chocolate cake, which heals 5 per slice instead of 4 per slice. So I think that's enough about winter taught. Essentially, you have to ask yourself, do you want to train it? It is a good way to get some early money, other supplies, and prayer potions, which leads us into our next topic.
Yes, we're going to talk about how to get prayer potions. So if you do go to winter taught, you're going to get some Renar seeds, hopefully, and snake grass seeds.
So you'll be able to make yourself a few prayer potions. Now, I want to stress very much that for early game irons these days, those prayer potions that you get from winter taught or however else you may are very limited. So don't expect that you're going to go and do melee slayer with overheads. It's really not sustainable, and you have to remember that those prayer potions are very valuable, and you need to use them for activities like barrows that will really give you significant account upgrades.
Yes, you're going to have to use them very wisely for your upgrades, because there's, other than master farmers, which you really need 75 farming to do now after the change, to get the Renar seeds, there's very little. I mean, you can get a few as drops, but very little.
Yeah, it's really rare to get them as a drop even from Slayer monsters. And when I was an ultimate, when I was first starting my account, the thieving restriction didn't occur, but due to bots, they wanted to help circumvent the botting problem a little bit and make it so master farmers had a higher barrier of entry. So that's the reason. Now, to clarify, it will say on the wiki level 71 thieving. However, according to how the wiki collects data, it states specifically that it notices the big significant increase of Renar seeds is at level 75 farming, not 71.
Okay, I think that is about all the ways to get the prayer pots early on. So
basically, the 2 ways to get your prayer potions are going to be master farmers and winter taught. And you really have to remember that the ones you get from master farmers are going to be pretty low. Like you're probably only going to get sub 4 to 6 an hour, especially at low thieving levels.
And I would like to add, if you're going to thieve master farmers, please get the rogue outfit, the rogue dens outfit, because it will double what you pickpocket. So if you was going to get 1 Renar, you'll get 2, or so on and so forth for other seeds as well.
Yeah, it's really not worth thieving them without the outfit. The outfit's pretty easy to obtain. It can be a bit of a pain for ultimates to do, because you have to go into the area completely empty inventory.
Yes.
So you'll have to death bank before. So ultimates will have to figure out a death bank early on. Early ones I recommend are Zulrah and Volcanic Mine.
I use the Volcanic Mine. It's my favorite.
Yeah, it's I won't go too much into death banking because I know not everyone's an ultimate here, but I still use Volcanic Mine a lot because your leftover fossils that you get from Fossil Island, you can turn them into Nummulite and give yourself a free death bank that's pretty easy to get to.
Okay, next up, we're going to talk about protection prayers. You need to get 43 prayer to get protection prayer.
So we would recommend that if you are able to, you go out into the wilderness and use the boneyard there.
Yes, and you go to the Chaos Altar. You run from the boneyard to the Chaos Altar and back and forth until you get the 43 prayer. But if you're a hardcore, you're probably not going to want to do that.
Now, it's important to note that the bones that you're going to be looking for are big bones. You'll want to take the big bones and take them to the Chaos Altar. Now, things to keep in mind is if you're going with level 1 agility, you're going to have a bad time.
It's not fun. You're going to want to train up a little agility, or you can, I don't know if you wouldn't take graceful out there, but.
Well, you did.
Did
remember?
I?
Yeah. You don't remember? You had 2 pieces of graceful. When
Oh, and I lost it.
Yeah, you got PK'd.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Don't think that you're going to be immune to PKing because you're level 9. Apparently, people will still kill you.
They will come there and they will own you.
Yeah.
And I don't know what fun they get out of it because you just have big bones usually. Though I did have my graceful stuff, but that didn't help them at all. Just made me have a sad time.
Yeah, she had 2 pieces of graceful. She was so upset because I was like, "Oh yeah, you can go to the Chaos Altar. Nobody's going to bother you." But I was wrong, and somebody bothered her probably within I think it was the literal first inventory.
It was the first inventory, and there I am, no more graceful pieces, and I was super sad.
Which I will say that even though that was the case, you know, as an ultimate, you still should do agility early.
Yes.
And if you can get the graceful pieces, you may as well. You're not going to have access to a death bank.
No.
Death piling is not a realistic option at that stage either.
And it's not risking that much. It doesn't take that much time to get a few pieces and a few levels of agility.
But if you're not an ultimate, don't take graceful out there.
No.
Because then you're probably going to lose it. The point of it is agility helps make your run energy come back quicker. So there is quite a bit of walking involved in this process. So the quicker you're getting to and from the boneyard to the Chaos Altar, the better experience you're going to be getting.
So another thing to consider is when you're in the boneyard, there are skeletons that are going to be attacking you. So if possible to have your main account come there to try to tank some of that damage, it's pretty helpful. I know Ryan did that for me so I could get my bones quicker and not die.
Yeah, I didn't go on my ultimate. I went on, we have a group Ironman that I used. Just sat there in Barrow's armor to tank some of the skeletons. If you can't do that, you can usually just be a time efficiently and like camp 1 or 2 spawns at it, but
just
you know,
1 or
it's
2
going
of
to
the
be
bones.
it would be a little bit harder, but at the end of the day, it is a great early way to get your prayer experience.
Other good ways for early prayer are there are a few quests. The best one, honestly, would be recruitment drive, since you need to do that anyway, especially early on if you're an ultimate, because I think you need quite a bit of room in your inventory.
Yeah, I think
that was the one I had to have a ton.
I think you might have to be empty or something.
But-
you can't bring a weapon in.
But for that, it will give you 1,000 prayer experience, and then you have Ghost Ahoy, but you need 25 agility, which if you're doing the run of the bones or whatever, you already have 25 agility and 20 cooking. But that one will give you 2,400 experience.
Yeah, so keep in mind the prayer experience that you need is around 50,000 experience. So keep in mind that these quests are a pretty small drop in the bucket overall.
So your main way to get that would be the boneyard to get the experience that you need.
Is there any other quests?
Yes, there is Mountain Daughter, which requires 20 agility that will give you 2,000 experience. And then Rag and Bone Man will give you 500 experience.
And of course, early game you can just start burying these bones as you kill random things. That's going to be painfully slow, but it is an option.
Yes.
The reason why it's so important to get overheads early on, especially if you're going to be doing some questing with low stats, sometimes the overhead prayer literally just makes the fight completely free. And you don't have to try it or do anything at all. You don't have to bring any food. You just turn on your overhead and you kill the boss.
I know I was worried about doing some of those early quests, and like he said, you literally will take no damage if you have your overheads on. So I highly recommend getting your prayer to 43.
Yeah, you just want to do it early on in the account. There's no reason that an iron shouldn't do it. And if you are an ultimate, if you're not that far along, consider doing it even if you have a few things.
Yes, because usually what you would have as an ultimate that early on, you can get back rather quickly.
So that pretty much covers our prayer. So I guess the next thing to talk about is asking yourself if you want to get graceful.
If you want to get graceful early on, if you do the rooftop courses, it will only take you until about level 55 agility and 260 marks of grace.
Yes, and that's considering you'll need to be able to unlock the Canifis course, which is level 40 agility, and it's definitely one of the best courses in the game for marks in general, and it's pretty good experience too.
There are a couple of quests that will give you some agility experience. Mainly the tourist trap gives you 9,300 agility.
Yeah, so I saw Framed, the YouTuber, do that for his early agility levels, and I thought that was pretty smart. It helps skip some of the earlier areas. However, the only big one that you're skipping with that is the gnome course, because it's quite a pain to get all the way there.
Walking there is not fun.
Right, and then after that, level 10 is Draenor, then level 30 is Varrock. The Varrock course kind of stinks, because it is one of the only rooftop courses where your run doesn't actually regenerate in between enough, where you will be walking part of the course because you don't have enough agility or you don't have enough run energy.
Another main thing about agility early on in the in your game would be if you want to use the mini game teleport to the Ferox Enclave, it will restore your run. It's like having the pool that's in your house but not having it. Like, you can go there.
Yeah, and from Clan Wars, there are several different useful ways to get around, even if you don't have teleports. There is the River Lum, which is pretty much one of the most amazing early game mobility methods, where it just requires wood cutting. If you're doing Winter Taught, you already have some wood cutting anyway, and you can get all up and down the river.
You can get from Lumbridge to Barbarian Village, then on to Edgefield, then on to Ferox Enclave.
Right, and there's even one at Ferox Enclave to go backwards, too. It's one of the ones I commonly use still as an ultimate, because when I am finished with a Chambers of Xeric run, I'll do a Clan Wars minigame teleport, and then I'll use that River Lum to get to the Edgeville Fairy Ring, and then go to my house from there.
It works really well. I use it to this day. Like he said, the Ferox Enclave has a lot of good places, especially if you're an ulti. You can store your money there, and it's easy to get back and forth.
Yeah, it has a coffer. It technically counts as being in the wilderness, so you can store stuff in a looting bag. So that's why people usually will use it as an ultimate, because it is risk-free bagging.
Other agility things that we should cover is the money pyramid can be pretty useful after you have, is it 50 agility that you can get there?
Well, you can technically do the money pyramid at any agility level, but you aren't realistically going to make it to the top until I think like 40-ish to 50 agility. So that's one reason why if you get graceful, then you unlock a money making method. Now, you're still going to fail the obstacles and you're not going to make great money. I would estimate, although I've never done it, probably somewhere between 30 to 50k GP an hour, not experience. So it's not that great, but if you don't have that many good ways of making money, it might be an option for you.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind, you have to have the water skins early on and food, because you are going to fall and you take a little bit of damage, or probably more than a little bit.
No, yeah, you'll take a little bit of damage. It's fine. It's like all of the damage is less than 10 or 10 or less. I think you can technically kill a skiller if you get hit by the obstacle that protrudes itself and pushes you off. It can hit a 10, which I have to be careful for because I do have an ultimate skiller. So
it's important to know, after you get the graceful outfit, you can also use the extra marks of grace to recolor your outfit, which is not that important. But super important is the amylase crystals, which are used to make your stamina potions.
Yeah, so many ultimates will do rooftop courses pretty much the whole time. I probably said ultimates. I meant Ironmen. All Ironmen will mostly do rooftop courses. Now, I know Hollowed Sepulchre is out, and that's a good way of training agility, but you want to make sure your stamina potions are completely, in a good supply. You don't want to be doing the Hollowed Sepulchre and then post 99 agility have to run agility laps too for your Marks of Grace. Now, the amount of Marks of Grace you need for a graceful outfit is 260, and a recolor for the full outfit is 90. And if you do this unique thing where you recolor each piece of the outfit a different type of color, then you're ugly and you should be shamed for that.
Right.
It's called sinful. It's not graceful.
Oh
it's
my
sinful
gosh.
at that point. And you should remember that. Just like I see people with their crystal armor around and it mismatches and they look like they have pee pants on because they have yellow shorts on. And I'm like, bro.
The things he comes up with, y'all, like, I don't even know.
But just make it all one color. And we always know, unbiased by the way, green is the best.
No. Purple or red is definitely the best.
What's the next topic?
All right. The next topic we're going to talk about is Temporos, the minigame. And unlike Wintertot, it is safe. So you will not die there.
Yeah, so Hardcore's Rejoice, you for once can go there on a brand new account and not die. And embarrass yourself. So you may as well go to Wintertot first, get that death out of the way that you know is going to happen because you're not that good at the game. And then you can go to Temporos as a proper Iron Helm.
So for Temporos, it mainly is for fishing experience and some cooking experience. And it requires level 35 fishing.
Yeah, level 35 fishing is really easy to get to as well. You can get pretty high already with 2 quests being the fishing contest and Sea Slug. Sea Slug does have a requirement of I think 30 fire making. Otherwise there's no combat involved, super easy to do. Both quests together are around the same area and probably get you pretty close to level 30 fishing.
It's important to note about Temporos that you can do as many of them as you want, and as long as you don't pull your rewards, the loot tiers determine when you fish it out, not when you acquire the actual pulls.
Oh, that is one thing I forgot to mention during the Wintertot spiel as well, is that some Ironmen will store up all their crates and not open them and keep them in their bank because the rewards are not determined by skilling level until you open them. So that is an option, but good luck doing that. I know my wife would tear open every single one, even if she had level 1 and everything.
I couldn't stand it because I love to open things, as you all probably learned in the last episode. Okay, so Temporos is also a good early source of food and can help get your cooking level up.
Yeah, so it is a great way to level up your cooking, especially because most early game accounts, or any Ironman build, eventually you're going to want Barrow's gloves, and getting that level 70 cooking can be a little bit worrisome. So doing Temporos and getting your cooking up with the fish from that is a pretty good way, as well as the minigame itself allows you to cook the fish for a pretty low cooking experience. But I think I did it and it got me to like 40 cooking when I was doing my ultimate skiller or my group Ironman. Somebody got cooking pretty quickly doing that to like level 40.
Now the main rewards, it's not as rewarding as Wintertot, but you can get the fish barrel and spirit flakes, which spirit flakes will grant you an extra fish sometimes when you're fishing.
Yeah, it's a 50% chance per spirit flake, but it is consumed even if you do not get the fish.
And then the fish barrel can hold an extra, is it 28?
I believe it's 28.
I think it's 28 fish,
Yeah. So
which is really helpful.
Yeah, that is really good for a lot of fishing. I think the most important fishing it's good for is the Quambron. Gosh.
That word is,
That's
a word.
The Quamies. You fish those up, near a fairy ring. So that one, it's really nice to have the fish barrel at. Not that I'd know, because I'm an ultimate, by the way.
I had it for a while, and then I had to drop it on the ground, so I was sad.
Yeah. You can't get too attached to things as an ultimate.
On my Ironman, my group Ironman, like my bank is so full of crap. And I go on my ultimate and I'm like, I have nothing.
Yeah.
Like, you can't get attached to anything.
So other things that are important to know about Temporos is it is a pretty good resource of an active way to train fishing. I think there is a very low chance of getting the Dragon Harpoon too, which is a pretty helpful unlock. And one of the other things that it can give is the Water Tome. And while the Water Tome isn't nearly as useful as the Fire Tome, because a lot of people have the Fire Tome and use it for high alchemy for free fire runes, but the Water Tome doesn't have that much use, but it can be helpful when you're trying to like bind things in Poro, like if you're hunting implings and you're trying to bind them, having an Earth Staff and having a Water Tome and then having a stack of nature runes is a way that you can help save or mitigate some cost in runes for you. But still nowhere near as important as the Fire Tome. And to clarify, I actually never got the Fire Tome on my ultimate. It's totally workable even without that. Alright, that pretty much wraps up Temporos. And I think what we're going to do now is we're going to have a little bit of a break. I will put in the recording a timestamp of when this occurs so that if you want to skip it and you just want to get to the next thing, that's totally fine. But I understand some people, you know, the early game will completely stress you out because there's like 400 different things that you're currently trying to think about, and you know, quests or rewards you're trying to get that have like 20 different requirements. It's a long process, so I don't want to overload you with too much information all at once. So we're going to just talk a little bit about what we're doing on our accounts right now. So
Right.
yeah, you lead the way. What are you doing on your
Okay,
account?
right now what I'm doing is still trying to get the Song of the Elves requirements, which I haven't been working on too much because I've been doing chambers with Ryan lately, but I do have the 69 hunter. I got to get one more hunter level and 66 mining so far.
Yeah.
And I still smithing, my favorite of the skills.
Yeah, I think hers is level 50, and I'm like, it's Giant's Foundry, and Giant's Foundry is really chill and easy. So
Yeah,
just do it.
I really don't know why I'm putting that off. It's not that I don't like Giant's Foundry. It's just I think the fact that I'm on an ultimate and I can't just go to the bank and get out stuff and go straight there.
Yeah,
So.
that is definitely one of the real things about being an ultimate is you're basically locked into whatever activity you're doing until you're ready for the next one. And you cannot be wishy-washy. If you're the type of player who wants to like do one skill for an hour and then you want to do another skill, then an ultimate's not going to be your type of character.
Don't play an ultimate if you want to do more than one thing at a time, because you really can't. Like, you are set in what you're doing.
You can hardly do one thing at a time, let alone two.
Yeah, sometimes you're like, can I really do this? But other things that I'm doing right now, I have been thieving Master Farmers because I did get my 75 farming, which makes me happy because I've got, I think, 15 to 16 Renar seeds more, so I can plant those to get some more prayer pots because I'm running super low because I do use a couple of prayer potions every chambers run that we do.
Yeah, we actually make sure that we get Munidals first every single time, you know, for the duo raids that I do with her. And then, you know, none of the V's, no Tecton. It's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's some other requirements I'm thinking of, but that's how it goes. And it takes us a while to get a raid sometimes. But she gets the prayer potion, and I get the brew because, you know, I'm tanking a lot of stuff.
And we each get an overload and
prayer
a prayer enhancement.
Yep.
But in great news of that, I got a purple, which was super unexpected. It was on my 19th run.
Yeah, and you were getting how much points per raid about?
About 10,000. This one I didn't even get 10,000. I might have had like 9,500, maybe a little more. It was something. But it was a very good purple.
What was it? Was it like Augury or Rigor?
No, it was Dragon Claws.
Yeah, I can't believe I got you Dragon Claws. That's awesome. I mean, I know like you got them too, but obviously you couldn't even do chambers if I wasn't there.
Exactly. Like, I don't go into Ohm. So
yeah, we tried it duo like once or twice, and it just didn't go that well. And I learned solo Ohm, and I was like, okay, I'll just do it on a duo scale. It's probably not that bad, and it's not. And you know, I end up getting a little bit more points than I would in the solo anyway. And when I'm doing things like AFKing while she's doing Mystics, because my god, that takes like literally 10 minutes.
It really does, but it's super fun. Like, Mystics is my favorite room. Like, I get to solo it, but it's super fun. I know a lot of people will think that it's quote-unquote cheating to be leeching the points and getting my purple, but I'm happy about it, so that's okay.
I mean, you're not paying for the service, and you have somebody who willingly helping you farm the points.
Loves me.
Yeah. It's not like, you know, there's things like mass scales where they'll get like 20 to 40 people and have them all run through chambers, and I don't know, I guess you just do a thieving room for like 2,000 like, I don't know how it works, but I know you funnel all the points onto the one person.
Oh, okay.
Somehow. But regardless, all she's getting is 10k a raid, and she got a purple. So
Yeah.
I'm happy for her.
I also, my last thing that I'll mention, and then Ryan can tell you what he's doing on his account. I had been working on getting the dig site pendant in my house, and I finally got that today. So I'm thrilled with that. It took me, you know, you need... is it 250 rubies?
Yeah, that's the reason you went to Chambers in the first
that's
place.
why I didn't think I was going to get a purple. I was after my rubies. That's all I cared about.
Right, and it's just nice. Chambers has a lot of good herb secondaries, so, you know, she got some herblore experience, bagged, and, you know, she got Dragon Claws, which is nuts on, like, a 1650 total ultimate, because I just imagine her in her, like, not even proselyte armor, but like just safe spotting a Bloodveld at Karen and then turning on Protect Melee and just decimating a Bloodveld with double claws.
I can't wait to do that, and that's going to happen soon.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. I don't have claws on mine. In fact, speaking of what I've been doing, I've been going dry. Is what I've been doing on my
Very
ultimate.
dry.
Yeah, I have nearly 2 million points dry. There's an app called Dry Meter for raids, which lets me effectively bitch about how dry I'm going. You know, because if somebody says, oh, well, I'm 40 raids dry, well, they could just suck at the game and be getting, like, dying twice, getting 10k points, doing Ohm. And, you know, that would be bad. But, no, I'm 2 million points dry, and I think it's 60 raids dry, so that sucks.
Yeah, it does suck for him really badly. Like, I feel bad because I got the purple, and I keep waiting for him to get the purple. So hopefully today.
Yeah, I hope so. So one of the other things about how purples work at Chambers, I had read a post about it, breaking it down. And basically how it works is that it rolls per person if you get a purple or not, and then it rolls what the purple is. So she didn't steal claws from me. I missed my chance at the purple, and she hit that like 1% chance to get a purple, and then just ended up getting claws. So I'm not angry about it. I mean, obviously I knew it's a possibility. If I bring her along, she might get a purple, and that's okay, because Dragon Claws that early on the count, I mean, she's going to destroy some quest bosses, like, just so hard.
I can't wait to try it. I really can't.
Yeah, I'm jealous of how awesome they would be on an early game account. I mean, they'd be awesome even for me, but I guess I'd use them at home just to, like, get a quick spec out for some nice damage, but otherwise I couldn't see it using at Chambers too much.
So what else are you doing on your account?
Just going dry. That's literally all. But pretty much I've just been going dry. And I'm going to go dry until I get the drop. And that's okay. I think one of the most important things you have to be able to accept as an Ironman is that you will go dry on something you don't want to go dry on. It's unrealistic to think you're going to get spooned or go on rate for every drop that you're trying to go for. It's just unfortunate that it feels so much worse to go dry. It obviously feels amazing to get spooned. Like, you can ask my wife, she got spooned Dragon Claws.
It feels amazing, but I have been on the end of where I was dry, not in a raid, but it feels terrible to go dry, even a little bit dry, and on the iron, because you can't just go by the drop. You have to wait until the game's like, okay, it's your turn.
Yeah, you do have to have that resilience that even though you're going dry, you keep going. And I think one of my favorite quotes that I've heard from another Ironman was that as long as you keep going for it, you will eventually get the drop you're after. And you know, that eventually might be a long eventually, but you will get it. So you just have to remember not to give up. And if you do feel like giving up, really question yourself if if you are prepared to go dry on other things too, because it's not going to be the last time you go dry. This isn't the last time I'm going to go dry on a purple. I know that. I just know I have to suck it up and keep going. And that's not to say you can't complain. My wife will be the first to tell you I will not shut up about how dry I'm going. It feels bad. I know it feels bad, but it's part of the game mode, it's part of the challenge, and you just got to ask yourself if you're down to do that challenge. So now we're going to play a little bit of a game.
All right, so last time we did our questions at the end, and we didn't really give people time to think about it. So we're going to play a little game and ask you questions as Ironmen. And my question of this episode is, where can you get a gold bar as a spawn?
That's a good one. It's really important because, for instance, if you're going to Wintertot, it would be really nice to have one of those necklaces, the games necklace, to be able to get to Wintertot. So it only requires level 8 magic to enchant the necklace, and some crafting, which you'll have to get. But the big requirement is a gold bar, otherwise requires 40 smithing, which is pretty hard to do in an early game. However, telekinetic grab is, I want to say 33. It's either 30 or 33 magic, I'm sorry. So it's pretty easy to get to, especially if you're just splashing with some mind runes or whatever. So my question, I regrettably didn't think about it too much today. So I'm going to go with one that you had to do today and ask you, where can you get a cut ruby from?
That's a good one.
Yep. Because it is important, especially if you're trying to make yourself some mass dig site pendants or something, where to get a quick ruby. I remember, I don't think I knew about your gold bar question for a while. I would literally, as an ultimate, go home tele to Lumbridge, get a bronze axe, and then go to the Alcarid mines, mine a gold ore with my bronze pickaxe, and then walk to the furnace, make my gold bar.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, that's like a 5-minute process, and I did it a lot.
Yeah.
So the other way is a lot quicker if you just telegraph the gold bar.
So we're going to give you guys a little bit of time and go back to our early game talk.
Yeah, we'll let you know what the answer is at the end of the episode. So just stay tuned and you'll get your answer at the end.
So we're going to jump right back in and we're going to talk about how to obtain Warrior Guild access and why it's important.
Yeah, so the requirements of the Warrior Guild is a combined level of 130 between attack and strength, or level 99 strength. So if you're doing some pure account build or something, you can get 99 strength and still get there.
So one of the main things that you can do once you have access to the Warriors Guild is buy your basic attack and strength potions. This is super big because you don't have to have the herb lore for them.
Yes, and they are very cheap too. I recall the only one that's a little bit pricey, I think, is the defense one. I think it's like 200 GP. I probably would skip out on it, honestly. Just take another food, honestly.
And the next big thing, which we use a ton as ultimates, but all Ironman can use it, would be the cheesy potatoes, or potatoes with cheese, which is their real name.
Well, yeah, the cheesy potatoes are great. They heal 16 HP. Don't have any requirement other than the melee stats to get into the Warriors Guild.
They only cost 9 GP.
Yep. And they're right next to a bank too. So if you are a normal Ironman or a hardcore, you can just bank them right there.
Another main reason that you need Warrior Guild access is so you can grind out your Dragon Defender.
Yes, this
super
is,
big upgrade.
I literally am still using it, and I'm to the point where it feels kind of newbie where I am, where I'm like doing solo chambers, and I don't have an Avernic, which is the, you get it from TLB, but, well, honestly, I don't know how to do Theater of Blood, so I'm using the Dragon Defender, but you use it forever, basically, is my point, and the upgrade, the Avernic, is still just an attachment that you attach to the Dragon Defender. Get the Dragon Defender. It is very much worth it. And that is a place, especially at the lower level, when you are grinding out the Dragon Defender, you might want to consider using a prayer potion there for Protect Melee, just because those ones are like level 103. They're almost twice as difficult as the one upstairs that you kill for your other defenders.
they are going to hit hard, and you could go dry. Keep that in mind. So you do want to save a few prayer pots for this, because it's very important.
Right. Another side mention, I know we didn't write this down necessarily, but one early game goal is eventually to get to barrows. That is a good place to save your prayer potions, and you should keep in mind you still want to ration some out for that, especially if one of your goals eventually is a fire cape. You'll want to have certain barrows armor before you go. So I think that mostly covers the benefits at the Warriors Guild.
And now we're going to discuss why thieving is important early on. First off, we did discuss this part already, but you can get cakes at level 5 in the RD bakery stalls and in the, did you say Corinth?
Yeah, and Corinth, yes. Okay.
And that's at level 5. So there's other ways to get some early thieving experience. For questing, you got Hazel, I'm probably saying that terribly wrong, cult, and it's 1500 experience. And then
one thing I'd like to mention about the Hazel cult is you can do it with absolutely zero combat. You just have to go the evil route, I think, if you want to do the zero combat. So just make sure you're following the wiki and selecting the correct option, because once you get through that dialogue box, you can't go back.
That's a very good point. So next is a quest called Fight Arena, and that gives you 2,175 experience. And the next, like, you probably are going to stay at cakes until you can do fruit stalls, which is at 25 thieving. But the note on that, you need Hosidious Favor, which is 15%, so you'll be able to thieve those fruit stalls.
Yeah, I think one of the most fun interactive ways to get Hosidious Favor is to push a plow through the field for 3 to 4 hours.
I actually like doing that. I don't know why.
You actually get a little bit of farming experience and a little bit of crafting experience when you fix it. You do have to bring a hammer because the wheel breaks every now and then.
The other way to get Hosidious Favor is, I don't know what you call it.
Saltpeter,
and you make into the compost. And that's a little bit quicker.
Yeah, so if you do hate yourself and want to punish yourself, you can make the saltpeter compost. I mean, I know it is an option for other people, but man, it's so lazy just to push the plow back and forth. But I actually did that on one account to 100% favor, and it took 4 hours.
Oh my lord, I did not know he did that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
On the Skiller one.
So the next level, once you get to round 45, you can start blackjacking. Like I said earlier, if you want to blackjack, make sure you have your rogue den outfit, because you're going to be pickpocketing and you will get double the money.
So I know some people immediately turn their brain off as soon as they heard the word blackjacking.
It's not that bad now.
Yeah, so remember, with menu entry swapper, you can make it so I think shift click is like knockout, and then you can make your left click be pickpocket. Or I think you couldn't make it so your shift click changed something, but either way, like right click, knock him out, and then you just click him to pickpocket a few times, then just do it over and over. Just make sure if you do blackjacking, one of the ways to get or have a much easier time is to save up your 28 coin pouches, which is something to consider when you are doing diaries, because the RD medium and beyond diaries actually make it so you can carry more coin pouches. So you might want to do your blackjacking before that point.
Another note on the Rogue's Den outfit, it requires level 50 thieving and 50 agility to get it, and it's going to take you a little bit of time. I believe around 2 hours, maybe more, something like that.
Yeah.
But blackjacking is worth doing because it's super good money.
Yeah, it is
like,
good
I know
money.
some people hate it, but it's not that bad.
I really think if you haven't tried it since menu entry swapper had come out, you should give it another try and see if you like it any better. Try to get the 28 coin pouches first, because the reason why that's so good is, say you failed a knockout and he says, I'm going to kill you. If you click pickpocket on him, even if you don't have the coin pouches, but it will interrupt his combat, so he will not attack you anymore. The reason why you get the 28 is because you'll immediately fail that pickpocket and he'll just not attack you, and then you can immediately knock him out again. So you take less damage.
Yeah, I didn't know this until I tried it, and I thought I hated it, but it really does make it so much better.
Yeah, I just highly recommend it.
So if you're going to do early thieving, you can think about getting your Arty medium diary done, which is gives you a 10% chance to pickpocket
Within
Arty. And then the Arty hard gives you 10% for everywhere.
Yes, for all across Gilmore. So one thing I like to remind people of is that there is a Master Farmer just north of Arty. He does not count for the medium. So yes, you do have to get the hard diary if you want that 10% to be for any Master Farmer, which is of course one of the most important ones people go for. And I believe it's level 94 thieving with the Arty hard diary is when you stop failing a Master Farmer. Keep in mind that thieving is a very important skill for all Ironmen. It's a good moneymaker for early levels. You can get resources like cakes, and it's how you get certain drops like crystal shards in the end game, which are good for crystal equipment, and blood shards if you want to thieve those, and of course thieving up a bunch of seeds for herb lore training, as well as prayer potions. I think I did 94 to 99 all at Master Farmers, and it was not fun, but I ended up with like 350 Renars during that time. So, those lasted me for a long time.
It really is worth doing, especially for the seeds that you can get from Master Farmers.
Yeah, I think to clarify, I did like 96 to 99. I got 350 because I remember I got the Arty hard. I did it, and then after like 3 days of doing it, I could like quit playing my ultimate because I was like, I can't imagine myself logging back on to pickpocket that Master Farmer again. So make sure you're doing something like, I don't know, watching Netflix or something. Not sponsored, by the way. Believe it or not, we don't have a sponsor by Netflix.
Really?
Yeah.
That is a shocker.
Yeah. But, just watch some content, listen to a great podcast called the Looting Bag Podcast, Life Pickpocket, things like that.
So next we're going to be talking about your gear progression. It's super important to know what gear you're going to be wanting next, especially early in the game.
Yeah, so we're talking about straight out of Lumby. You literally just need to figure out, okay, what is my progress going to look like? So we have answers for you for that. So first we're going to start with the most popular method of killing things, which is melee. And the first thing that you want to get, if you're going to do any early game melee before Waterfall Quest, then getting the event RPG from Diango, I think it's like 200 GP, it makes it so your attack speed is on a 3-tick cycle instead of a 4-tick cycle. And if you don't know what that means, it means you attack faster. So it's actually better than other alternatives up to an Addy Scimitar. The next one
would be the Rune Sword.
So with the Rune Sword, you get that one from the Warriors Guild. I want to say it's in the ballpark of like 15k-ish or something. Maybe it's 32k. It's probably 32k. But the Rune Sword is pretty good, and all you have to do is get access to the Champions Guild. So you do have to do Dragon Slayer 1, I believe.
The next one would be the Rune Scimitar, and the way that I got that, you do have to start the Waterfall Quest, I do believe, before you can get there. But under that, in the waterfall, underneath it, are the fire giants, and you can safe spot them.
Yeah, so that's a good way to get some of your mage levels up when you want to get something valuable as well, like that Rune Simi. It is pretty easy to safe spot. I also would recommend Fire Tome charges are okay to use if you did get a lot of pages, because the most often time you're going to use those pages are when you're high elking, and that's actually not using any charges at all. There's not that many scenarios where you use fire spells on things. People don't even bring fire spells to Ice Demon at Chambers of Xeric, for example. So the next item on the list, I'll take this one, is the Dragon Longsword. Now, you have to have completed the Lost City to be able to get there, and you have to have a diamond to pay entrance to the marketplace in the Zeneris, and a Dragon Longsword is around 100k. It might be a little bit more or less, I'm sorry, more if anything. But if you're not going to have a Dragon Scimitar for a while, a Dragon Long is a good substitute.
The next one is going to be super important, and you're going to use it for a long time. It's your Dragon Scimitar. It does require the quest of Monkey Madness 1. So it is a little bit difficult to do, and then it is around, is it 100k or 150k?
It's 100k.
100K.
I know that one for sure.
Okay.
Yep. So Dragon Scimitar is going to be your best in slot for a very long time. I'm trying to think of a whip. That's when your next big upgrade is, and you can only imagine the difference between getting a Dragon Scimitar and 85 Slayer is quite the big jump.
So for your melee body pieces and stuff, you're going to want a rune plate body, which you can get from
Oziak.
Yeah, I couldn't remember his name.
It's the
at
guy in
Edgeville.
Yeah.
It's at the very corner of Edgeville, and I don't remember how much it costs. I want to say 35k.
No, I think it's 100k.
100k?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
It's a rune plate body.
It's 100k.
I would bet my money it's at least 98.
Okay.
I'll drop my bag right now. No, I won't.
No, you won't. But so your next thing, if you have prayer pots, you're gonna want proselyte armor, and you need to do I don't know the name of the quest, but it's that guy in Falador. Something.
You do recruitment drive first, and then the one after that, I don't know which one it's called. Hold on, let's look it up.
Okay.
The quest that you have to complete to be able to get the proselyte armor is the Slug Menace.
And I forgot to mention, to get the rune plate body, you need to do Dragon Slayer 1.
Yes. That's also the same for the green Dragonhide body.
For range.
For range.
So after your proselyte armor, like I said, you would need the prayer pots if you're going to use that. But would be Barrow's plate armor.
Right, and I will still say that your best in slot during Slayer, if you have prayer potions, is going to be Prosy. So it's even recommended that even if you have Bandos chestplate and Tassies, that proselyte armor prayer bonus is more helpful than the strength bonus that those bring. So the only reason you'd want to have Barrow's plate armor is if you're not using prayer and you're eating food, which is actually going to be very relevant in the early game.
Okay, so I think that pretty much sums it up for the melee. On to the ranged. Now, until you are able to do the Dorgeshan quest line, I don't remember what I used.
Nothing.
But
You just didn't use range.
Yeah, I don't think I did
it.
ranged.
So for range progression, the early levels are really difficult because you're not dealing that much damage and you're not that accurate, and you don't have access to armor that helps you with accuracy that much either. So what people will use, I think the fastest method is steel knives or steel darts. So if you've done smithing before and you can make some, you can do that. And if that's not an option for you, the best thing I could recommend is just buying the best short bow that you can equip from the shop in Varrock, and then buying steel arrows or whatever arrows you need to be able to fire, and you can train ranged that way.
And once you're 28 ranged, you can do the Dorgeshan quest to get your Dorgeshan crossbow, which the first one is the Lost Tribe quest, which requires 13 agility, 13 thieving, and 17 mining. But that is definitely worth using, because I used that for a long time until I got the rune crossbow or the magic short bow. It's also a good thing to mention that you might need to do Slayer before you get your rune crossbow, or when you do get your rune crossbow, because you need broad arrow fletching.
Yeah, so broad arrow fletching is pretty much the mainstay of ranged ammo, because it is rather cheap to afford. At least in the early and mid game, is pretty much the only thing you're going to use.
I'm level 87 ranged, and I'm still using the broad arrows. They are really cheap and really easy to make. You just go grab your feathers, and then you grab the broad arrow parts from the Slayer Masters.
Yes, and it is a good source of fletching experience too. That's one of the main ways fletching is trained, is broad arrow fletching. Now, to speak of the rune crossbow versus magic shortbow, the magic shortbow to get requires 80 fletching. However, you can also get it from a hard clue as well.
Now, the rune crossbow, the way I got mine was by safe spotting, was it iron or?
Iron or steel. They both
iron or
drop them.
steel dragons. And I got it relatively easily.
But what do they drop? They drop
the runite limbs.
Yeah. So it's not the crossbow itself. You
No.
still need a fletching requirement.
Yes.
But it's like in the 50s, I believe. And it doesn't have the smithing requirement of 91 if you were to
Ooh.
make them yourself.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah.
So, going back, it would be important to do winter taught. If you're going to do winter taught, you're going to already have that fletching.
Yes.
So, that's why I had the fletching level.
So one of the things to remember at winter taught, people say why fletch is the
Oh yeah,
medium
they
fletch.
do that Y fletch all
I
the
love
time.
it. So remember, you're at winter taught not because of the fire making experience, but because of the rewards. So part of the rewards is the fletching experience.
Yes.
We recommend that you fletch pretty much all your logs. It is a good way to get that fletching up for free.
I would usually wait to fletch, like I'm saying something different than he's saying, but I would usually wait to fletch until 50% of the winter taught thing is
Yeah.
done, because you would get hit too much.
Yeah, in the early stages of winter taught, you definitely take more cold damage.
Especially in solos.
Yes. So it is more worth it to wait because the interruption action can be very detrimental to your speed.
So for ranged gear, he already mentioned the green dragon hide you can get from the Champions Guild and Edgeville.
Well, yeah, I mentioned the one from Edgeville, but also I think the gloves and the chaps you get from
Champions
Guild, yeah. However, one of the important things to remember for gloves, we're going to give a shout out to the RFD subquests.
Yes, definitely do those quests, because every time you do part of the quest line, you unlock stuff in the Colomancer's chest, and you unlock those gloves. Like, the adamant ones were super good. I don't know exactly what stats they give.
So, I think they gave, 7 range strength. So, the adamant gloves actually have really good stats, which are 7 melee strength and 7 in accuracy for ranged and the melee styles and mage too. So for how easy they are to get and how little you have to do for them, they are really good. So a lot of people, I think, will mostly avoid doing RFD until you're ready to just do it all at once.
I don't agree with waiting, because while you're waiting, you could have the extra boost to your stats and just use that.
Yeah, so the Addy gloves, will give you +7 ranged, not ranged, but +7 melee strength, which is effectively a +2 on your max hit. And when your max hit is like a 20, that's like a 10% DPS increase. So it's really, really good. And those 6 RFD quests that my wife had done, they require very little combat. I think the 2 you avoid are the Falador Knight and the
Sir
King
Meek or something.
and the King Awajay. Those 2 do definitely require a bit more combat, so it is best to wait to do those until you are ready to do RFD.
So the next main thing that you're going to want for ranged training, like from forever basically, is your Avas. But you need it requires 30 range for the first one, and it requires the quests of the Restless Ghost, Ernest the Chicken, and Priest in Peril. And you cannot boost the skills, which is 18 Slayer and 19 Crafting, as well as 35 Woodcutting.
So a quick shout out to the museum quiz that you can do that gets you 1k Slayer and hunting experience, which will get you level 9 Slayer from 1.
Yes, I remember doing that.
Yep. So that pretty much covers it for ranged, I would say. You just want to make sure your Ava is the best D-hide that you can have. Now, clues are actually a pretty good way to get some of the higher tier levels of D-hide as well. That's how Jamie got her black D-hide.
Yes, I did the hard clues, and I got pretty lucky. I did a couple, and I got the the top and the bottom.
Yep. So of course your Barrows Carol's armor is also a really good upgrade too, but that's if you're hunting Carol's, that is really difficult, just because the specific piece is going to take you a while to obtain.
As far as mage equipment goes, we don't have much to say about that other than I don't know if a lot of people know about it, but monk robes are pretty good.
Yeah, you can get monk robes from Edgeville with I think maybe like 30 prayer might be required to be able to loot the monk robes or to go upstairs. But just wear those because it doesn't give a negative bonus, and then I guess use your offensive magic prayer and go to town on that, because mystic robes are actually really expensive and they require 63 magic with a boost, or I guess 61 with a boost, to get into the guild to be able to buy them. And before that, like, maybe you get some wizard hats from killing some random wizards and things.
Yeah.
Also, easy clues definitely have some god related robes that are equal to mystic, I'm pretty sure, in terms of accuracy, so that's a good source as well. But you know, monk robes work just fine. Just take your staff and your runes and just cast the highest tier fire spell you can, basically, is how magic goes, until you get Ivan's Blast.
Alright, I believe the last thing we're going to cover is Guardians of the Rift.
Yeah, so it is now essentially like a trio of mini games that are really important for early game Ironman, and Guardians of the Rift is the newest addition, and of course you get one and only great benefit from it.
Free runes.
Yes, so being able to get those free runes, get those magic levels, and just being able to make them all yourself is great. Now, there's a shortcut that I think requires 56 agility to get to the lower level. Another reason to do your rooftop courses and get graceful already. And then you get to that lower level and you can get more runes per game because you're able to get more shards.
If you stay there until level 77, you can do your Zaya blood crafting for some money. It's really good money.
Yeah, so it's 200 GP if you sell it to Ali Morrisane, which does require a quest, but it's a pretty easy one that you should do. But 200 GP per rune, so it's a pretty good way to make some money. Now, a lot of people will probably disagree with me when I say you should sell some of your early blood runes. I definitely think you should. I think when you're 77 rune crafting and looking towards endgame content, sure, keep them. But if you need a little bit of money, I think blood rune crafting is really useful, if you don't have many other ways.
So let's go back to our questions and answer our questions.
Sure.
So my question was, where can you get a gold bar as a spawn?
Okay, you can tell me.
All right, I will tell you. And you go to Varrock and you go under the west, is it the west side?
Bank.
West Bank, and go down in the basement and you telegrab the gold bar.
Yep, it's a really good way. So all you really need is the Varrock teleport to get there, and then you just walk, then you grab your gold bar, and then you're on your merry way.
It makes it so much easier to get the early necklaces like the dig site pendants and the games necklaces for the Wintertot teleport.
Yes, yes.
So I think it's extremely important to keep that in the back of your mind.
So mine is, or my question was, where can you get a cut ruby? And that is Artie Market. So you can get it, I think it's like 1,600 coins from Artie Market. My wife knows really well about that because she finished off the rest of her dig site pendant today.
I hopped worlds and got like 25 of them today, so it's a very good resource to know where that gem trader is.
Yeah, so I'm sure that maybe the one in, gosh, what is the elf city name? Priff. They probably sell rubies too, but obviously that's not early game friendly.
No.
So just keep in mind that a good way to get rubies is the Artie Market. The other ones, I don't think Hildegrim sells it, and I know the Al-Kharid one does not
sell it.
So
to wrap things up, I would like to say I appreciate it. If you've made it this far, we really appreciate you listening to us.
Yeah, so thank you very much for making it to the end. If you do have any feedback, please leave us a comment. Let us know what you think we can do better. if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss in the future, we'd be more than open to suggestions as well. Now, this was a pretty long episode, and it covers a very important topic, and we're probably going to do a part 2. So yes, we did not get to everything in early game that you need to be aware of, and that's intentional because there's just so much information to cover, we couldn't possibly do it in one.
No, it would have taken us so long, and we hope that you will listen to this and want to hear our next episode. And again, like I said, we appreciate you listening if you've made it this far.
Yeah, so feel free to do the like, subscribe, that sort of stuff.
We would really appreciate it.
Or share it. We do appreciate it. And thank you very much. And, you know, like we had said, we do hope to help grow a community. If you would like to join a chat channel, you can join my name, Scyther RN, and you can discuss Ironman game modes. That's where my wife and I hang out. Feel free to talk to us or leave your feedback there.
You can private message us if you want to. I'm UIMButterfly.
Yep, and I'm Scyther RN. So, thank you very much, and I hope your week goes well, and I hope you get that dropper going and that your grind is going smooth.